As the Karnataka High Court continued to hear the Hijab Row, protests also continued outside schools and colleges. Even today, students gathered outside colleges in Belagavi, Shivamogga, other districts and held demonstrations as they were denied entry for wearing hijab. In fact, again, there were videos of principals, teachers telling Muslim girls who had turned up in a hijab to come back in uniform and they would be welcome inside. And in the midst of all this, even as today, the Karnataka High Court interestingly dismissed a number of PILs as frivolous or incorrect and told the petitioners that they are unnecessarily slowing down the entire process of hearing. The debate overall continues about whether the hijab is aspirational and acceptable for women, not just Muslim women, but women in general in 21st century India. All right, joining us now is somebody who's herself been very vocal about creeping orthodoxy, especially when it comes to women and imposing of fundamentalist ideas on them. Author and feminist human rights defender Taslima Nasreen is joining us now. Taslima Nasreen, I want to start by asking you, across India right now, you must have been watching, there are girls who are going to school and saying, let us in because this is our choice. Don't stop us from exercising our choice of wearing hijab. What would you like to say to those girls?
I am against hijab, burqa, face veil, niqab, etc. And I always say that women never choose hijab or burqa. It's like a mobile prison, and it's not a comfortable or fashionable outfit. If it was very comfortable or fashionable, very elegant dress, that men would have worn it. But men don't. So the reason behind the hijab or burqa is that women are sexual objects. If men look at them, then men will have sexual urge, so women have to hide themselves from men. So it is not good for men, it is not good for women, because we are equal human beings. We should work together, we should go to schools together. And I think that it is not a choice. Actually, those women who are forced to wear hijab because they have no other alternative, they have no other choices left. And normally the very orthodox Muslims, if they are in the family, they force women to wear burqa or hijab. So I think that it is the reality. Not a choice, because nobody can choose in very uncomfortable outfits or clothing only because Islam says it. Islam says so many things. Islam says not to go outside home, but women go to schools, colleges, and universities to get education. The Islam says not to work with men, not to laugh loudly, not to talk loudly. There are lots of things. The Islam allows men to beat women if women do not obey their husbands. But nowadays, women would protest against beating. Nowadays, women protest against lots of Islamic rules. But they said that they have to accept Islamic rules, that they have to wear hijab or burqa. But hijab, in educational institutions, if other people wear turbans or wear Mangal Sutra or cross, then women can wear hijab, because hijab is just, covering their hairs. But face veil, which, niqab, this is, I think that it's a security issue.
Okay, so you're saying there should be a distinction made between just a hijab and a full face veil. But when it comes to the issue of uniformity, now there are colleges who are saying, look, we have a prescribed uniform. A school has a uniform, the police has a uniform, the army has a uniform. Can you then, on the basis of your religious identity, ask for concessions and say, okay, there might be a uniform, but I deserve to get concessions and wear this hijab?
Muslim women can say this, that they want to wear hijab. I think that some other religious people would ask for, Sikhs will ask for wearing turban. They want to, maybe they would want to wear turbans, and the Hindu women would like to wear sindoor or, bangles that the married women wear. In this case, I said that face veil should not be allowed. I think it's because of security issues that hijab can be allowed. But still, I think that in educational institutions, because there is a conflict, we saw that how some students wearing saffron shawls and some wearing burqa, they were actually, there is a conflict. Still I think that there is a conflict, of course, but I don't think the conflict is between Hindus and Muslims. I think that the conflict is between secularism and fundamentalism, between rational logical mind and irrational blind faith, between modernism and anti-modernity, between humanism and barbarism, between innovation and tradition. And the conflict is between the people who value free thinking and people who do not believe in free thinking.
That's a very important point that you have made, because that brings me to my next question. You actually fled from this very kind of fundamentalist thinking. But when you see the same thinking being replicated in India right now, does it worry you? Does it make you think that there is, and the reason why I ask this is because a lot of people, scholars, Muslim scholars in India have said that the hijab per se is not even an Indian tradition. It is largely imported from the Middle East. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Yes, it is. It is. Even it's very funny that Indian subcontinent become so much religious. That religion came from Arab countries, and they are fighting for wearing hijab or burqa. But Saudi Arabia, the birthplace of Islam, now declares that it is not compulsory. Burqa or abaya is not compulsory. Women can wear it, If women do not want, they would not wear it. And, women were not allowed to go outside and meet people who are not their relatives, especially men. But women are now allowed to go to concerts, go to stadium. Women are getting more freedom in the birthplace of Islam. But, in the Indian subcontinent, of course, these burqa and other religious outfits are not Indian, came from far away. So, but it is true that some people are not yet free from religion. Of course, there should be freedom of religion, freedom to practice religion. Also, there should be a freedom to go out from religion. But the problem is that in Islam, there are many Islamic fanatics, that people like me, I had to leave my country. It is 27 years that I cannot go back to my country. Why? Because I critically scrutinize Islam. If you want to modernize your society, you have to critically scrutinize your religion, religious laws, religious rules, and also patriarchy and misogyny. But if I do that, then because, Muslim fundamentalists are always very, they have patriarchal mindset, they're misogynist, so it is very difficult to be critical of Islam.
So as a critical thinker, would you say that from, say, 20 years ago or 10 years ago, you are seeing a rise in fundamentalist thought in India?
Fundamentalists were in the subcontinent always, I think. So there are, I think that in Bangladesh, I have seen that, Bangladesh constitution was secular. It was a secular state. Slowly it became, that somewhat, a president introduce a state religion, which is Islam, which actually makes all other non-Muslims second-class citizens. So we protested against this move because we did not want a secular constitution, to be changed to Islamic constitutions. But what can we do? Because there are the fanatics and the religious peoples are more in number than the free thinkers. In Pakistan, the same, And in India, I think that India is actually much better than compared to Pakistan and Bangladesh. But still, whenever that, we see the rise of fundamentalism, we should actually all free thinkers and all the secularists and the liberal people who are anti-fundamentalists should protest against them, because they will ultimately, pull the society backwards, which actually we do not want in this 21st century.
As a woman who has paid very dearly for deciding what her identity is, what her feminism is, what would you like to say to all of the girls who you see protesting today, who are choosing to go behind the hijab? The idea of a uniform, etc., that of course will be decided by court. But on the larger issue, since you spoke of fundamentalist thought and about how and whether hijab is really a choice, there are girls now we see on the issue of hijab are actually protesting in a full burqa or a full abaya. What would you say to those girls?
Yeah, I'm really sorry for them, because either they're forced to do it by fanatics, and or they were indoctrinated since childhood that they have to wear burqa. So, but I think that they should be allowed to get education. If they have good education, they would have scientific temper, they would start asking questions, and they would not accept this the symbol of oppression. But I think they are making mistakes, that they are accepting symbol of oppression as their freedom, as their identity. If hijab or burqa or abaya cannot be anyone's identity, or any religious signs cannot be anyone's identity, and they're very little people. Actually, if you are enlightened, if you are educated, if you are become a free thinkers, then your identity would be much more respectable and meaningful ones.
Final question to you. This is a debate, I think, which is coming to the subcontinent 2 decades after the West has already dealt with it, and they are perhaps still grappling with it. The latest example being a sports brand, for example, which said that we welcome the burkini as long as the athlete is comfortable participating in a burkini or wearing a full abaya. This should be her choice. Your final comment on that? How does one then view it with the prism of feminism and rights?
Funny thing, this is very insult to women. Should not be women. I said those burkini and this funny thing should not be allowed in sports. I think they should have the traditional sportswear. Otherwise, they should not be allowed. Otherwise, if we allow them, whatever their fanaticism, if you allow their fanaticism, they will go ahead with more fanaticism. And their target is women. The target of this religious fanaticism is always women. Women have to wear. Women have to wear all those, carry all those religious identity. And women should protest now. I think that if women are conscious about their rights and freedom, they will protest against it. But they are now religious darkness. They are in the religious darkness. I think that they will be enlightened someday. Well, and it is not only the Muslims. It is we see that this bigotry and this darkness in other religious communities too. And I think, but it's a multi-religious society, multi-ethnic society. So I am always very proud of India. So many people from so many religion and so many ethnicity and so many languages and cultures live together. Still, not very bad things happened yet. And Muslims, I think, that are much tolerant than Muslims in Bangladesh and Pakistan. So I think that now they are talking about hijab. They want to wear hijab. Okay, let them wear hijab. Or if other religious communities, people want to wear their religious signs, they can. But that should not be like, insult to own identity, like burqa should not be allowed, I think. Or otherwise, if there is any secular dress code, it's okay. It will stop conflicts, I think.
Absolutely. There will be and there should be light at the end of this darkness of fundamentalism. And you're absolutely right. It exists across the board, and there could not be a worse nightmare than for fundamentalism on one side to encourage competitive fundamentalism and radicalism on the other as well. Taslima Nasreen, for being outspoken and expressing what is the right thing. Thank you very much for speaking.
Thank you. Thank you so much.